Hello everyone, this is Miss Samara. I'm back with my next lesson. So today's lesson is 9-3. 9-3. And this section is about geometric sequence. Geometric sequence. It's going to be pretty easy to understand geometric sequence just because it's similar to arithmetic sequence. The only difference is before, for arithmetic, it was actually adding and subtracting by a common difference. Now it's going to be getting multiply or divide by a common ratio. So let's just start off with an example. So let's say if it's arithmetic, then it would look something like this. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and so on, right? But when it becomes geometric, it's going to be something like I have 3, then I have 6, then I have 12, 24, ... Or it could be 24, 12, 6, and 3, and ... Something like this. If I look at my first example, which is this one here, and if I ask you to find the ratio, or let's just pick green, the ratio this time, so it's going to be 2. So the ratio would be 2. So instead of saying multiplying by 2, I'm just going to say literally it's 2, which is the ratio for this sequence. Second one, so instead of saying dividing by 2, I would say the ratio is 1/2. Here you go. Because 12 divided by 24, 6 divided by 12, 3 divided by 6, it's going to be 1/2. So let me give you the definition of geometric sequence. So I would say the ratio of any term to its preceding term is a constant value. Again, just like arithmetic, so you would have a same ratio for any two numbers or any two terms of a sequence. So constant value. All right. So I'm just going to give you the idea, or I'll give you the equation to find the ratio. That's going to be helpful if you see any fraction or decimal. So what you got to do is you always have to take the second term and divide by the first term. That's how we find the ratio. So just like arithmetic, we do have explicit and recursive rule to find missing values. So in order to find missing terms, let me pick a different color. So missing term of a sequence, we have two different ways to do that. So we have explicit rule and recursive rule. All right, so let's try focusing on explicit rule first. So explicit rule. Just like arithmetic, I didn't give you the equation right away. We talked about the logic first, and then we actually figure out the rule, right? So same thing I'm going to do with geometric sequence. So let's say my sequence is 3, 6, 12, 24, and ... So let's draw 3 different columns to check the pattern. So let's say my first term is 3. Yeah, it is 3. So I'm just going to say it's A1 in there. Now the second term is 6, which can be written as 3 and times it by the ratio, which is 2. All right, so my next term is 12, which is this whole thing, 3 times 2. Now it's getting multiplied by another ratio. All right, let's say my next term is 24, which is this whole thing, 3 times 2 times 2, multiplied by another ratio. Now let's try understanding the pattern. For the first term, it would be just A1. For the second term, my first term still there, which is A1, and now it's getting multiplied by 1 ratio. Okay, let me just say this is A1, this is A2, this is A3, this is A4. For my third term, again, my first term still there, but how many ratios? I have 2 ratios, so I would say it's R square. Okay, for my fourth term, again, I have my first term along with 3 ratios. I hope you understand the pattern. So let's say next time if I ask you for the 10th term, you know what's going to happen is it's definitely going to be my first term for sure. But how many ratios do I need? The number of ratios is always going to be 1 less than the term you're solving for. I'm looking for 10th term, so I need 9 ratios. So that's how I'm going to solve for the 9th term. I'm sorry, the 10th term. Let me show you it actually works. So 8/10. My first term is 3 and the ratio is 2 to the 9th power. So how would you do that? So pretty much it's just plugging everything in. Let me show you. So 2 to the 9th power. So let me plug it into my calculator. Gosh. Okay, so 2 to the 9th power is 512 and then I would times it by 3. So my 10th term for this sequence going to be 1536. So that's how we do it. All right. I have one more example to show you with some fractions in it so that you can understand the process. Oh, hold on. Let me show you the explicit rule for the nth term. Explicit rule for the nth term. The nth term, because you know I'm not asking you for the 10th term all the time, right? So you have to have explicit rule in general. So it's an, what I'm looking for, it's going to be equal to a1, which is my first term, and this is going to get multiplied by ratio. But how many ratios? So since I'm solving for n, so means I need n minus 1 ratios there. So that's my explicit rule, the equation I'll be using every time there's a missing term. And I hope you remember we use explicit rule when the term I'm solving for is far away from the ones I know, right? Okay, let me show you one more example, and yeah, that's pretty much all for the day then. I have 4. Let me pick different colors. So back to red. I have 4, I have 2, 1, 1/2, 1/4, and dot dot dot. First of all, I need to check if it's geometric or not. How do we check? Okay, let me see if they are going by the same difference or the ratio. So 4, 2, it's 2, 2, 1, it's so it's not the same difference. So it means might be same ratio. How do we find the ratio? So second term divided by first. So 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. 1 divided by 2, which is 1/2. 1/2 divided by 1, which is also 1/2. It means it's geometric with the ratio of 1/2. Let's say if I ask you for the 16th term, okay, I need explicit rule. I hope you remember explicit rule is the first term and ratio would be, okay, since I'm solving for 16th term, so I need 15 ratios there. Now rest is just plugging everything in. So A1 is 4. The ratio would be 1/2 to 15 power. So watch out for plugging it in. So first, you cannot multiply by 4. You got to deal with this parentheses first. So 1/2 to 15 power. So let me put this in. Just a second. A little slow. So 0.5 to 15th power. I have 0.000030, so I would times this by 4. So my answer would be 0.000122. So that's my answer. Here you go. That's explicit rule. And this is pretty much all for today. And next week we have our official spring break. So just enjoy your break. There will be no video, no homework next week. And yeah, stay safe.